Hello! Today we have another video going over a PS1. We'll be using 3 different cleaning tools in the form of, first, a Q-tip, a toothbrush, and a makeup brush. We'll be trying them in 3 different sections, so without further ado, let's get into it. So first off, we're gonna go ahead and go through a quick disassembly here. So we go ahead and take off the 6 screws here, and then flip it over, and take the lid off. There's nothing connecting it, so you can just lift it right off. Here's a quick look at the top lid. A couple of dust bunnies around. And it's always important to make sure you disconnect the power first. We'll go ahead and set that aside there. Next, we'll disconnect the controller port. We'll take off the parallel port as well. And then finally, we'll take apart the optical drive with this orange cable here, and then the one next to it right here. Here we find a piece of the spindle that's broken. But we'll go ahead and take these 3 screws off, lift this up, and then we get to the board itself. A dead bug there, alongside a couple of other dust bunnies, but I digress, we move on. There we can see the board a bit better under the flap, and it falls back like so. Next we have these 5 screws, and lift the board up, and now the bottom shield will come out. There's another piece of the spindle. These 2 screws hold down the controller port. And then these 2 will be done for the power supply unit. Underneath we've got a couple of more dust bunnies, and now we'll go ahead and go into the first cleaning. Starting off with the toothbrush here. All 3 of these brushes will be using IPA or isopropyl alcohol along with them. I'll go ahead and let you enjoy. Coming back now, we have the top shell. We're going to go ahead and unscrew these screws here. Allows the open button to pop back up. Here we will take out the 2 screws that connect the disc lid together. There's the one on the right that keeps it in place, and then the one on the left that acts as the hinge. And we'll go ahead and push out these buttons here, starting with the reset button. And then next up we have the power button. I'm gonna go ahead and get a tool to pry it the rest of the way. And we'll go ahead and move the power button and its associated spring to the side. We can now grab the spring mechanism there to allow us to push the open button through. Go ahead and use the pry tool as well, just to push it a little further. And move it out of the way. Now we can go ahead and take the pieces for the disk drive out. Just go ahead and kind of position this to the side a bit. And it does require a bit of wiggling, but eventually it'll just come right out. There are better ways to do it for sure, and I've definitely learned going through some more. But for now, this is okay to just kind of wiggle it out, and eventually it'll give in. Now we have the two sides split as I maneuver my hand out of this. And now we'll go ahead and start with the makeup brush. And finally, we have the Q-tips. This is going to be for more of the smaller pieces and the lid itself, so kick back and watch. Alright, now that we're finished there, we go ahead and put the spring mechanism here. Go ahead and screw this back in for the open button. And then we will flip this over to put in the spring as well as the power button. Just line it up like that and it slots right in. And then we'll go ahead and put the reset button in. It just kind of lays there like that. We'll go ahead and slide the disk drive in here. You can kind of just maneuver it into its position. We'll go ahead and flip it over and start with the right side. Putting this in will help keep it in place. Give it a couple of tight screws. And then the other side here, make sure it's oriented like this, and then grab the associated spring. And then you have to kind of maneuver and line it up. It's a little tricky at first, but you eventually get the hang of it. Once the piece is slotted in, you'll be able to secure the spring in a nook on the lid, letting the hinge flip the lid open and stay closed once pushed down. We'll go ahead and screw this in. And flip this over, just make sure the open button works, and it does. Alright, so we'll go ahead and go towards the bottom half. With the bottom case laid down, we can set the bottom shield down. Once that's in place, we can lay the board on top of it, making sure it fits on the pegs and sits flush. Now we'll set the controller port in, as well as the power board. Make sure all the cables are out of the way for when we put on the next piece. I skipped a little bit here, but we put all the screws in and then we go ahead and put the top metal shield on. Make sure it's in place and give it a good push down. We'll also take the disk drive out and give it a good cleaning on the lens with a bit of isopropyl alcohol. And then with a just fresh Q-tip, go ahead and clean that off. Make sure you get as much as you can. It is a very sensitive component. Now with it back in place, we can connect the two cables to the board, making sure it's a snug fit and pushed all the way down. Just gotta maneuver a little bit around. There we go. And then with the other two cables put in, we can go ahead and put the top cover on, flip it over, and put the final 6 screws in. And we're done here. My final sentiments over the 3 options. The makeup brush has a wide surface area with thin bristles making it easy to maneuver, but this one got pretty furrowed, so keep that in mind. I'll definitely need to get a new one. Next up we have the toothbrush, which offers strong grubbing capabilities for tougher grime. And finally Q-tips, which are key to get a deep clean in hard to reach areas, but has a big downside in the amount you end up having to go through. All in all, each have its own benefits and should be used together to get the best clean possible. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.